Hi, my name is Miguel Reveles, and I'm a graduate student at the University of Texas at El Paso. I am also a Canutillo High School science teacher. Today, I will be talking to you about the importance of retaining novice teachers and why it is important to invest in novice teachers in order to improve our schools. Now, there was three readings that we did in our class that had to deal with novice teachers and the importance of supporting a novice teacher in all of their journey. Okay. Um, Basically, the readings talked about how it's important to retain good novice teachers because there's a lot of money involved in having to train teachers, having to provide support, having to give them a lot of that guidance and mentorship. You invest a lot in the first year and then they're going to be gone. Clark 2012 talks about how it's imperative that we provide good supporting structures for novice teachers. We provide mentorships, we provide induction programs, we include them in what we do every day. We give them the opportunity to be vocal about their struggles and give them the opportunity to be vocal about their concerns. If we do not do these things, we will lose them pretty quickly. Okay. Also, the readings talk about how induction programs. Ingersoll 2004 talks about how induction programs vary widely. There isn't a lot of consistency across the board, and therefore your induction program at your school district was probably different than my induction program when I started at Canutillo ISD. Okay, it is not easy for teachers, okay, to come from different school districts, different backgrounds, and know what is expected of them without those induction programs. Many times in my career, I've seen that teachers, don't even understand what are the responsibilities in terms of paperwork, in terms of grading policies, because those induction programs sometimes don't provide them that feedback. Okay. Then when you move districts, you know, what is the district's goal? Does it align with what you're going to be doing in your classroom? Are you going to be able to function, seamlessly once you come into that district if you decide to move? Those are questions that induction programs should have answers to. And I'm not saying that induction programs should nationally be aligned, but at least regionally, I feel the need would be more, easier for regional headquarters like Region 19, um, those types of supervising entities to have alignment for teachers, when they're inducting them into becoming teachers. Um, Other things that Ingersoll talks about in the readings is that novice teachers need a reduction of classes. I know that it seems far fetched to get to this point, but the truth of the matter is teachers do need a reduction in class size, or they need to be teaching less different types of classes. Oftentimes the teacher that's coming in gets the short end of the stick. They'll be teaching four different classes. They'll have multiple preps. They'll have to invest a lot of time and energy outside of the classroom because remember, this is a skill that they have not mastered yet. So now teachers are going to have to be taking work home, stressing out, coming in early. Um, New teachers, especially in smaller school districts, they usually not only have different preps, now they also, they're newbies, so they're going to put them to do, all the extracurricular activities. I mean, we load their plate up like if it was a buffet. Okay? And that is not the most efficient way to retain a teacher. It solves our problems as administrators for the first year, and it gives us to think that we've solved the issue of the needs that we had in our campus, but really, we've only solved it for 1 year. So we put a band-aid on the problem, and we do not have a sustainable solution. Okay? Now, when I was reading these things, I did get to think about my own experiences and how did I become such a confident teacher in my first year. What was my experience like my first year? I do recall having an induction program at Canutillo. I remember that, we were basically enlisted to go to these induction meetings every month. Okay, we had one day a month that we had to go, and we had to provide student work. We had to do some readings. We had to provide feedback. We got to talk together as new teachers. But one thing that I remember being is bored. My own experience with understanding teaching was that my wife was an actual teacher for 5 years before I became a teacher. Now, I worked in education in several other capacities, okay? I was a coach. I was, a co-op coach, which is just a part-time coach for middle school. I was also a tutor. So I got to see about 4 hours each day. I was in the classroom, okay? But I was not grading in the classroom. I was not attending faculty meetings. I was not having to go to trainings. All I did was work with kids. So for the most part, I was pretty much protected from the entire spectrum of teaching for my first few years. Now, the way that I found out about the difficulties in teaching, the struggles, the adversities, was through my wife. My wife and I would talk about, what are things that she was facing in her job, the pressures, the unsurmountable amount of paperwork that she would have to do. So by the time that I became a teacher, a certified teacher, my first year, I knew what to expect. I knew what was coming. I knew the type of responsibilities they were going to put on me. So I had mentally prepared to receive all of those responsibilities. And sure enough, my first year, I was very blessed. I did only teach one type of class, which is physics. But I was given all of the inclusion classes, okay? So I had 75 students who were either coded special education, or they were part of, an ESL program, or as part of the 504 program. I mean, I had 75 students with different needs, okay? Also, I was given the opportunity to coach. Now, my goal had been to coach always, but they gave me 2 coaching jobs. Now, I started coaching before I even started teaching. My first 3 weeks in, education were coaching volleyball. Not having an opportunity to prepare my room, nothing like that. We were out of town. We were, working hard. And I did not have the opportunity to even see what my room was going to look like, how to set it up, anything. So I started coaching and teaching my first year, endless amount of hours, endless amount of work. And I did summer school for, the first few years. So all of that pressure, I was able to withstand because I was able to see through my wife's, eyes. I was able to get feedback from her. Now, my opinion, as far as what needs to happen for teachers to be retained, is that we need to be rigorous in implementing these protocols. As I said before, I'm somebody who's rebellious. I knew what I was expecting. So the first year for me, going to those meetings wasn't the most productive. Now, if somebody had made sure that I was there every time, made me accountable, okay? Because we're going to find teachers who are going to be rebellious. That's the truth. But if we make them accountable, if we provide, good feedback for them, and they give us good feedback, we have them writing, we have them reading, just like if it was grad school, okay? If we give them those supporting structures, I believe that they will become successful first-year teachers. Now, I know it seems like we're adding more to their plate, but really, we have to make teachers accountable in their responsibilities to their job. It's important for, us to use their own zones of proximal development. I know I'm using Vygotsky here, but every teacher's coming in with a different level of understanding about teaching. And a lot of them don't have the classroom management skills. They don't know the theories behind it. The alternative certification programs don't always do the best job in teaching up and coming teachers what are the theories and models to follow. So it's important that we provide accountability and sustainability to get those teachers to come to these meetings in the induction programs and to make sure that they're getting the necessary information. That way, once you do invest the time in your teachers and the teacher feels it's unsatisfactory, then you know what? It is time for both parties to move on. But you know that as a principal and as a school leader, you have provided the interventions needed. So that's the important part. Now, some recommendations. Principals, invest the time to prepare your teachers. Again, make something that's accountable and make it be in place and don't let it slide. Make it a weekend thing, make it a Wednesday thing, make it an after school thing. It doesn't matter. You need to make your teachers accountable the first year. It's important for them to develop these skills. So make it a part of their first year. Help them develop their critical thinking. Give them lesson planning abilities, opportunities. Help them to develop their classroom management. Once they have classroom management down, they'll be able to do so much more. Also, very important, once you teach them how to plan, help them to plan in school. Too many teachers take their work home, and that makes them unorganized, and that makes them have a bridge that sometimes doesn't translate back to the classroom. When you're in the classroom, you see all the resources that you have, and you're not looking for resources at the last minute. Help them and teach them to plan in their PLC. Use those 45 minutes, 47 minutes, hour and a half, whatever they have. Teach them to use it wisely. Provide content-specific trainings as well. Some teachers lack confidence in teaching their subject area, even though they're very smart. Sometimes they need different models, different instructional tools, different manipulatives. A lot of us as teachers don't really get that information. We're looking for it and we learn as the years go, but it'd be cool if somebody gave us just some basic knowledge sets to go, but content specific, not general. Okay? Another recommendation, please don't discount the need for teachers' emotional and mental support. I know we're all adults, but first year teachers are dealing with a lot. They're dealing with pressure of keeping their job if they really want to be teachers. They're dealing with the pressure of understanding and knowing their kids. They're getting to know the emotional needs of their kids, and sometimes their own emotional tank is going to be pretty low. So we need to make sure that we are providing them the opportunity to meet with other facilitators, first year teachers, mentors, to kind of just get them to air it out. It's good. It's like when you read a book. When you read something that you had in your head and that somebody else wrote down, you kind of identify with that. So it's important to have that opportunity for first year teachers to, identify with somebody else about their own struggles, because, we do tend to forget. In conclusion, and my final recommendation for principals and for aspiring leaders is trust your teachers, okay? You have to trust them. You have to give them the opportunity to show you what they can do and to prove to you if they are not going to be a good fit for your building or your classroom, okay? Oftentimes, we don't trust individuals to do the right things. We just simply label teachers quickly, okay? Sometimes the way that people teach is not the way that we teach. It's not the best way that we feel. If we're always following Marzano's, high impact teaching strategies and somebody isn't, suddenly our world is upside down and we don't agree with that person. If they're not using Kagan strategies, if they're not using Edmodo, if they're not using a particular mode of instruction, we tend to discount their effectiveness. Don't do that, okay? Give them the opportunity to show you what they know. Give them the opportunity to be themselves. This variety is going to help your students. Not all students are going to respond to all teachers the same. So it's important that we give these teachers the opportunity to show They're unorthodox methods, if you will, if that's what they are. Okay? But allow teachers to be themselves. Allow teachers to do it on their own. Now, if once you see that there are things that are just not mixing well, that are affecting kids a lot, you provide interventions, you provide support structures, and if at this point the teacher doesn't respond, if they just want to do their own thing, they don't want to follow district policy, district protocol, I mean, that's a different conversation. But initially, please give them the trust. Give them the trust to do their best. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. This is Miguel Reveles again for graduate school at University of Texas at El Paso. Thank you.